Okay, we have 4 green bars and a live counter ticking up. This still seems weird to say, so I'm guessing we are live.
Oh, you didn't change the title,
I
Mill.
didn't change the goddamn title. I got distracted.
Oh, bloopers, everybody, bloopers.
You take over while I'm doing this.
So, yes,
So
welcome, everybody, to our roast of Attack on Titan. Long anticipated and delayed, as often happens.
it's fine. The timing's good because the anime ended too.
Yeah, anime's over. I'm not going to complain about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. If you have come here for a discussion about the positives of Attack on Titan, you're in the wrong place.
I mean, we can
We don't do
briefly
that
touch
here.
upon what the positives are of it, but, like, this is mostly going to be a very negative video.
Yeah, I mean, look,
The production values are excellent, and the OST is
I mean the production values kept this,
Hiroyuki Sawano.
the production
like-
values kept this fucking series alive.
I will say, this is not the best Sawano soundtrack. This is probably the second best, because Kill la
I
Kill
mean-
slaps.
Well, no.
Third best, Thunderbolt Fantasy.
Kill la Kill stuff, or no to the other thing? Fuzzy? No to what?
No, I said you have forgotten about the MF and Taiwanese puppets.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with that. So third best.
yeah.
I still think Kill la Kill is the best one, though. You don't have 3 top-tier villain themes and not call it a top-tier OST.
You
But yes.
just need to watch Taiwanese puppets, Jack.
Maybe, but I refuse to digress until I actually do. Regardless.
When you do, maybe we can do a podcast on that. That'd be really fun. Anyway,
This one's going to be a different kind of fun.
yeah.
Or not fun, depending.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be fun. Even I can't get any enjoyment out of shit talking this series. Like, cause look, I was introduced to this because I was in my all things Team 4 star phase, and I found out that they did a 1 episode of an abridged series for it because
We don't talk about that.
because
For
yeah,
legal
it,
reasons.
it got cancelled real hard by copyright, like viciously so. I mean, it had, knowing how the series eventually went, it probably had the best ending, but because it literally ends with Eren getting eaten, and that's it. That's the
I do
series.
believe there was another abridged version of Attack on Titan, but
Yeah.
I remember watching a bit of that and then it just stopping.
Anyway,
Regardless.
so that's how I was introduced to it, and I started getting the manga, and I probably have a good 25 volumes of it somewhere, as well as
Oh no.
various assorted like side books as well.
I remember I started reading this around the time the anime came out. Like, I watched the anime, that
Like everyone did then, because
Yeah.
here's a fun fact for you. Certainly in the West, Attack on Titan was a failure before the anime.
I'm not shocked, given the art style was pretty garbage.
Like genuinely, the last AX I went to, I ended up in a panel with a dude who was like big behind the scenes in the American manga industry sort of thing, and was actually the one to bring Attack on Titan over to the West. And he said that they got so many copies and they did not sell until the anime came out.
Again, not shocked considering what we know.
But I genuinely enjoyed part of Attack on Titan. Like, obviously it had flaws, and it is very much a series that is not to my tastes, given that it is a, dark
Look,
dark
I thought
fantasy
it was
story.
going to have the. I thought it was going to have the balls to kill off the protagonist in episode 5.
If only.
Hmm.
If only. Honestly, it would have been a much more interesting story with Mikasa and Armin as the main protagonists instead of Eren. Alas.
Remember that time Eren gaslit Mikasa into thinking she was some sort of genetically modified mind slave?
Oh god.
No, but I don't remember a large parts of Attack on Titan. Not in detail. When was that?
Only the broad strokes, right?
Yeah.
Sometime around when he started growing out his hair.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Remember that time Mikasa made out with Eren's decapitated head?
Yep. I remember that going viral when that happened in the manga.
What chapter did that happen in? Because I did reread the
Second
last.
to last.
Second to last. Oh, okay, it was second to last. That's why I missed it. Because I did reread the last chapter because I wanted to confirm. Because we did actually talk about the final Attack on Titan special during the mid-season check-in, and Number revealed to me what the stuff that Isayama added after the fact was that I missed because I read the final chapter and then never went back to it, even knowing that there was more stuff to it. And
no.
it is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Basically, all
Give
the
me
struggle
the-
was pointless. Everyone, war is inevitable. Everyone dies. The end.
And the cycle begins again, probably.
Wait, really?
Almost,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very nihilistic and fatalistic.
It's maybe
Did
not
the-
maybe not the cycle begins again with in terms of Titan specifically, but
Didn't the manga epilogue have a relatively positive conclusion?
No, you're thinking of the actual last chapter, not the volume bonus epilogue thing, Amadou.
Oh.
I mean the final chapter,
Oh,
yeah,
no.
it was relatively positive. If you put aside the fact that the now protagonists of the story were thanking Eren for what he did.
Oh yes, the whole quote-unquote "thank you for committing mass murder for us" whole
Yeah.
thing.
To be fair, as much as I've accused Eren of committing genocide, apparently officially it can't be classed as a genocide.
Because it's not systematic enough.
No, because you can only commit a... Again, this is officially speaking. You can only commit a genocide based on what somebody is, not what somebody isn't. So, Eren killing everyone for not being Eldian is not considered a genocide.
Kind of like a
no.
reverse genocide.
No,
Just like
no.
doing a reverse genocide thing.
No. That would be considered ethnic cleansing then, of everything but your ethnicity. It's still Hitler.
I mean, yeah. Look, I'm not gonna try and I'm not defending what he did. I'm just saying, because as I was saying to the two of you before we got started, I've been trying to look up some journal articles to get some more academic views on the fascism. And oh boy, is that going to be a big portion of this stream.
It's a spicy meatball, this stream.
Peer-reviewed, APA-cited sources.
And
Content warning, by the way, for so much fucking stuff.
maybe I should just put the... Do I have the red flag on this bit? I might not. Yes, I do. Oh, but it's over the spoiler warning right now. Okay, 1 second.
You can adjust it.
There. Red flag. I mean, this whole series
Is
is
your
a red flag, but yeah. So one of the articles I read was basically going into how, yeah, technically it's not a genocide, but probably should be considered a genocide, and even if it isn't considered a genocide, it's still fucking bad.
The whole thing was like 80% of the planet's population is killed. The infrastructure and the ecosystem is absolutely devastated because Aaron causes a full-on apocalypse because he couldn't bring himself to confess to his
Yeah.
crush.
But yeah, I mean the basic
I wish
the
I was
basic
joking.
yeah, the basic conclusion to the article was, this probably won't happen anytime soon in real life, but maybe we should, keep in mind that it could happen at some point. Something like this could happen. And it
We
should,
have the
should be used.
technology.
It should be used that the original definition of genocide officially was relatively narrow when it was first created, and something like Attack on Titan could be used to as a starting point to debate widening the definition of genocide.
So a positive contribution for once.
Well, if you consider expanding the definition of genocide to be
To be more varied and possibly accurate, yes. I mean, to be fair, like, there are some people who would definitely try to do what Aaron did if they had the ability and or resources. And yeah, I'm not gonna go any further down that rabbit hole, but let's just say Aaron has a fan base of people like that.
I mean, look, one of the
You know who they are.
non-academic articles that I found is quite literally titled "Why Attack on Titan is the alt-right's favorite manga," and yeah, it's more true than people would like to believe. And we should point out that we are obviously discussing this from a Western perspective, and therefore put a Western spin on it. And apparently, there is a difference in what spin is put on in Japan. For example, we see Mali as very close to Nazis and Nazism. Apparently, the prevailing thought process in Japan is actually more of Imperial Japan, which, considering Japan's official perspective on Imperial Japan, is also concerning.
Kind of dicey, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm reminded of that controversy way back when because one of the general dudes, I think it was Dot Pixis or something,
Yes, he
heavily
was,
resembles a Japanese war criminal who committed war crimes in Korea during World War II.
Well, I mean, didn't he say that Erwin, who was very much considered
Rommel,
to be
yes.
heroic, was
yes, he's based on Erwin Rommel.
yeah.
Yes. In the minuscule bit of fairness, Rommel is considered quote unquote one of the quote unquote good generals from that side, and that he wasn't as flagrantly monstrous as most of the other high command. Still not good.
Still
pretty shitty.
participated in genocide.
More passively than actively, but yes.
We have established that is
Oh yeah, no, it's not an excuse. Man was still pretty shitty. Just less actively shitty, just passively shitty. Which is still shitty. It's a matter of action rather than, like, fact of shittiness. Regardless, like, still not great to base him off of a Nazi
literal
general
genocidal Nazi.
and to portray him as like, oh, he's one of the main hero guys, even if he is slightly morally ambiguous. and that's the least awful he's written, or the most awful he's written, as like slightly morally ambiguous.
Yeah. I mean, the point is that Rommel has a good reputation in the West because he very much got,
He got the good publicity of being a quote-unquote honorable general on the other side compared to the rest of the Nazi high command.
Yeah.
Mostly because he primarily participated on the African front rather than Europe.
Oh, so it's a matter of racism in the West, then.
Oh, there's probably some
Not
of that,
necessarily. Well, partially yes, but also I believe the African campaign had like very little in the way of civilian casualties compared to the Pacific Theater or the European front.
But yeah, the point is the plot wasn't done until 1944, which means there was at least 11 years of being okay with the fascists.
Yeah.
And speaking of being okay with the fascists, this series is far too comfortable with its fascists.
It has I feel like the series does not do a good job. If it is trying to portray fascism as bad as some people claim it is, it does a very, very, very not good job of doing that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Isayama... That's not what Isayama is trying to do, from what he said.
Mm.
We've been talking about an interview that was done with, I think was published in the magazine Bisatsu Shonen in 2017. So just when the final arc was getting started, I believe. And, saying that I don't think the series passes judgment on what is right or wrong. You can't do that.
Which is kind of a cowardly stance, yeah.
Look, you can do that in a series that isn't necessarily, political. But whether he's done that consciously or subconsciously, he has created a society that is very, very reminiscent to Nazi Germany and its treatment of the Jewish people during, the Holocaust. The Eldians are in, let's say it outright, in ghettos with fucking armbands denoting what they are. How can you write that without associating that with Nazi Germany? How?
It's extremely on the nose. Like, you cannot get more flagrant imagery than this.
And if you invoke that imagery, you have... I'm sorry, there is no way you can say, I'm not passing judgment on what is right or wrong. No, the people that you have, portrayed as similar to Nazi Germany are wrong. They are wrong.
Yeah.
Like, there's no getting around that. There's no argument about that. Like, you can maybe make the argument that, the people were just trying to protect themselves and therefore went along with it. But considering that you are portraying members of the military and high up in military command, you don't get to pull that. You don't get to pull that.
Just following orders is not a legitimate defense.
No.
Nuremberg has shown that.
People died for that excuse. And because it is not an excuse.
Like, it's one thing if you say, like, if I didn't follow these orders, my whole family would have been slaughtered. It's another thing to say, I didn't want to get any punishment, ergo, I killed all these people.
Yeah.
One's a hostage situation, the other is just bullshit. And cowardly.
And the fact is that in Isayama's portrayal of the Eldian people as, analogous to the Jewish people.
That is the
very-
closest analog, by the way. Like, it's the imagery and symbolism connecting them is very flagrant and
Look,
basically
I mentioned that article to you, Jack, of the the one that basically took some quotes from Attack on Titan and then compared them to, you know, Nazi Germany's treatment of the Jewish people and was like, hey, these are the same. And while it is it's a bad article in the fact that it is incredibly shallow analysis that doesn't go into any sort of, you know, depth or detail, it does still prove the point of the similarities. I'll give it that. So, and you cannot say that there are not similarities in that sense. But, and then you've got to, you know, you've got to look at how Isayama portrays the, as I said, as portrays the Eldian people, in that they are the only ones who are capable of turning into titans. Now,
yeah.
the point of racism is that, as you said before the stream, Jack, it's not rational. It is an irrational hatred of somebody based on them being a different race from you.
There is no. That's part of the reason why a lot of stuff equating like bigotry against, like, say, mutants, for example, to real life bigotry directly one-to-one does not really work, because it is very rational to fear someone who could lift a bridge and drop it on a city, and it is a lot less rational to fear someone who has a different skin tone than you.
You know, and I suppose there's an element of irrationality to it in the sense that, you know, most people don't. I don't know. Is there an rationality to it in the sense that obviously we know there are only, you know, 9 named and therefore sentient titans? I mean, do the Malian people know that? I honestly don't remember.
I don't think the people as a whole did. I think it was just the military and the government. I mean, I think the military is the government, but in the setting, but whatever.
Which is a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, we can get into the you know, glorification
The government
of
structure.
the military that Attack on Titan perpetrates, which is also you know, a big no-no, given, you know, the support behind the remilitarization in Japan, which is, you know, mostly on the right wing.
Like I'm not. Well, let's not get into the real life politics of this that situation, because there are a lot of nuanced factors going into that, not least of which has to do with China's whole thing. But that's a whole other topic and would require like a lot of research to actually talk about in depth. I don't want to get into that. Regardless, it is very concerning to have the whole thing be like triumphant military themes, cool badass salutes, all this badass action stuff. Isn't the military cool and all that? And it's like, both sides of this conflict are military dictatorships.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about that. Like, one of them has a both of them are effectively monarchies, with either figureheads or like someone behind the scenes pulling the strings, whatnot. But they are still effectively military dictatorships.
But,
it's like,
you know, either way,
yeah.
There is a potentially rational reason for Malians to hate and fear the Eldians. And you can't do that. You can't give racism a rational basis, and then again say, I'm not gonna say who's right or wrong in this situation. No, you're cowardly refusing to pick sides.
And you know what both sidesism does?
I mean, sitting on the fence is just gonna get you a wooden enema.
Or worse, barbed wire.
But then we come to the fact that in Mali, they are ruled by Eldians.
Yeah, and it's not just like openly ruled by Eldians, it's ruled by a shadowy group of Eldians.
Which, you know...
Yeah.
Given the whole analogization of the Eldians to Jewish people is a whole other barrel of yikes.
Just like... Can we just outright say Attack on Titan is morally reprehensible and, like, be comfortable with saying that?
I mean, I wish we could just leave it at that, but too many people still
we have to actually, prove our point.
Yeah, too many people still like and defend Attack on Titan.
I've actually seen people gloating online that, oh, the ending was actually really good. I was right all along. The series was good all along. It's like, did you watch the actual substance of this? Did you actually understand what you were watching?
The answer is no.
No, because media literacy is fucking at its lowest point, probably.
Mm-hmm.
And it's. I mean, we've seen from fucking shit like J.K. Rowling's latest crap stream of a novel that people don't have media literacy skills, or not enough people anyway. And it's comes back to school systems not teaching that kind of thing, not teaching critical thinking as a very important skill.
Part of it's that, and part of it is just people becoming extremely invested and attached to media properties that they liked. So you have situations where it's like, oh, this person is attacking this thing that I like, and I don't agree with them attacking this thing that I like. Ergo, I am going to refuse to answer to any of the criticisms, and I'm going to
They're
dig my
attacking
heels
this
in.
thing I like, therefore they are attacking me as a person.
Correct. That is often the viewpoint that a lot of these people have. And as a result, they often are just straight up dismissive, if not outright hostile to criticism of this thing that they like. And I don't know if it's a product of the schooling system or if it's just a consequence of how people get emotionally invested in things. Could be a bit of both. But it's been especially prominent with series like Attack on Titan that have this huge following and have a lot of people who like it, who are like, no, I don't see anything like what you guys are talking about. No. Not at all. Just
And the worst part is that often they legitimately don't. Right?
Like, it's one thing if you don't, like... If you genuinely enjoy the series and don't really care about, like, the subtext of it, like, you just want to watch a series, no thoughts, head empty, just sit back and watch animation go burr.
Is, like... I think that is something that is... like, seen as more permissible than it should be. If that makes sense.
I mean, I do get the urge, because sometimes you just don't want to deal with the world as it is and just want to turn your brain off and enjoy something mindless. And I get that. Like, again, the world is depressing as fuck as it is. There's a lot of shit going on. Sometimes you want to just enjoy yourself. But a lot of pieces of media are not shallow enough for you to really do that, and
Yeah,
just
there's
like
just a, it's a
ignore
matter
shit.
of being able to justify it, and many times it's just not practical to justify
Mhm.
something like that.
Like, it's one thing if you're just watching Die Hard. Die Hard does not have much, if anything, in the way of political substance. It is a fun action movie. If you're talking about, like, say, I don't know, Apocalypse Now, that's not the same thing. Or Full Metal Jacket. Like, again, you're not going to be able to turn your brain off for Full Metal Jacket the way you can for Die Hard.
Nor should you.
Exactly.
Because, well, I think that's the primary thing. Because there, as we know, there are plenty of people who can and do turn their brains off, even for something like that.
Mm-hmm. Like, if you've turned your brain off for Full Metal Jacket, I don't know what to tell you. But the same applies here. Like, this could have been a dumb, fun a horror series if it didn't lean so heavily into its political theming.
Hmm.
But it did, and it failed to do so in a good way.
And
It did so in
let's
a
be clear.
demonstrably bad way.
Yeah, and let's be clear. We're more talking about the actual plot relevant aspects of it. You know, the actual, the potentially fascistic. Is that a word?
It is. Sort of. Probably, I
Even if
think.
it's not,
Uh,
it is.
It should be.
Fascist, uniforms and shit like that. The actual sort of like design stuff, that is more explained due to Japan's ability to.
Let us not forget that Japan was an Axis power, so there, like,
Yeah.
there are a lot of influences remaining from that.
I mean, Japan has apparently been able to sort of split the aesthetics and I don't want to say cultural aspects of Nazi Germany from Nazi Germany. I don't think I need to go into more detail about exactly what I'm specifying with Nazi Germany, just that it's Nazi Germany.
Jackboots and goose steps and salutes, oh my.
And there is a discussion to be had about whether Japan is right to do that, or it's okay that Japan does that, because it probably isn't. But that's a societal issue rather than one limited to Attack on Titan. In terms of the Pixis stuff, arguably that is a societal issue with Japan rather than it is one with Isayama and Attack on Titan.
Specifically.
Isayama and Attack on Titan as a whole. I mean, let's go back to the My Hero thing with Dr. Garaki. Again, it shouldn't be excused. It shouldn't just be allowed to happen. But at the same time, do you immediately assume that the perpetrator is, a supporter of the crimes that were perpetrated as a result? Not necessarily, because the Japanese education on those subjects is just not good enough. Because they
It's
still...
the same way how there is a massive amount of erasure in American schools and history books about all of the heinous nonsense that America has gotten up to at various points of its lifespan.
primarily with regard to the transatlantic slave trade and, of course, the genocide of the Native Americans.
Yeah, how much did the American school system focus on that, Jack?
We had a few days worth of class focusing just on the Trail of Tears and its consequences in my school.
Fair enough.
But my school is a lot better than most.
I was gonna say, you live in California.
Yeah, California is a...
I'd
California
like to
public
see.
schools
I'd like to see what what the answer would be for somebody who lived in, say, the Deep South.
Yeah, no, I imagine someone like, say, Mississippi is going to have a lot different of an experience than I would have.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, lots of discussion about, like, a lot of the shit that happened to the Native Americans and to African people who were enslaved.
So, like, until the HBO Watchmen mini-series, I was unaware of the stuff that went down in, I think it was Tulsa, Oklahoma?
Tulsa,
yes.
Yep, the Tulsa race riots.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a thing that happened.
Yep.
Yep. And to be fair, even though my public school education was fairly good, it still did not get tackle everything. Like, did not go into depth on Vietnam and all the shit with that.
Yeah.
Didn't go into all the stuff regarding, like, the LA riots, for example, like with Rodney King. There's a lot of stuff that didn't get talked about in depth, mostly because we focused on older history. And there's a lot of more recent history that just, like, needs to be talked about. 9/11 was over 20 years ago. That is not a recent thing. A lot's happened since then. Like, cutting off a history lesson 20 years before the present day leaves a lot of holes.
Yeah.
So imagine what happens in a curriculum that erases a good chunk of history from the better part of a century ago that still informs a lot of global culture to this day. Like, it has consequences, and you see it in stuff like this.
Wait,
Or, like,
actions have
people-
consequences? What?
Yes, they do, as a matter of fact. I was surprised to find out, too. Just absolutely shocking.
Not just actions, but, you know, media depictions of stuff has consequences.
Mm-hmm. People seem to underestimate how much media can affect culture and people.
You know, and again, going back to the glorification of, the military and Attack on Titan, that stuff has an impact.
Mm-hmm.
It absolutely does. And again, Attack on Titan is not alone in this. There are other series that we could point to that have done similar things with this regard. I mean, one of the articles I read pointed to, you know, stuff like Kantai Collection.
Oh yeah, Kankole has a lot of issues in that regard.
Yeah. You know, Azure Lane could probably fall into that as well.
And honestly, like, at what point does it's hard to determine for some at what point it goes from just being general, hey, this is fun action, let's watch some crazy shit happen.
Well, in the case of the ship girls, it's not quite fun action. It's more like
raunchy action,
like,
yes.
Well, here's the thing. Here is a quote from a guy called Kazuma Hashimoto, Japanese English translator. Said, if you turn a warship that attacked Pearl Harbor into a hot anime girl, you're making people have this emotional attachment to this thing that helped perpetuate war crimes and colonization. You can't say this isn't propaganda, that this isn't somehow working in tandem with the massive amounts of historical revisionism that's happening in the country.
Yep.
And I mean, do we actually have a definite birth date for Isayama?
Don't think so.
1986. So
Hmm.
might be a little bit too young to really have been influenced by that.
Are the Chip Girls?
Well, no, the big shift that happened in the 90s with regards to that historical revisionism, which is something I actually wrote a little bit about in my dissertation.
Yes, we should note that our very own Millington has a bachelor's degree in history, so he is at least somewhat qualified to talk about this nonsense.
A little bit, not massively so. Yeah, let me just... Yeah, so... 1990s, the mid-1990s witnessed the emergence of a neo-nationalist movement that aimed to push back what conservatives deemed to be a masochistic view of Japanese history.
The fuck?
Numerous anime in this period rewrote the events of the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, placing Japan in a more favorable light. For example, Deep Blue Fleet, aired in 1993, depicts an alternative history in which Japan is able to self-righteously shoo the Americans out of the Pacific, causing Nazi Germany to fearfully declare war on them. That is verbatim what I wrote in my dissertation, I would like to point out.
Yikes. Shit.
And part of that might be influenced by the shifts in the decade earlier, which certainly in terms of historical depictions tended towards, depiction of the Second World War with child protagonists, so Barefoot Gen and Grave of the Fireflies, which,
Oh god, don't get me started on Grave of the Fireflies.
Well, it is, as much as they give, a very good depiction of the effects of the nuclear bomb, it also allowed Japan to feel, more the victims in that conflict than the aggressors. And obviously, we're not arguing for the dropping of the atomic bombs. I'm just going to point that out right now. I'm not arguing for that. But those series,
we should note that
those movies could be used, could have been used in that sense. They are very good depictions of that, but they may have had a knock-on effect knowing what came afterwards.
Let us clarify something in that sense real quick. We do consider the nuclear bombing to be a war crime, act of genocide that, again, American schools don't really talk about, but there is a reason why America is one of the only major countries that does not recognize the United Nations Tribunal for War Crimes.
Can I just point out that was also a definite war crime, dropping the nukes, in more ways than one.
Yeah, that's what I...
it was
absolutely a war crime.
I mean, every time America dropped a bomb, it was a war crime, frankly. Because interestingly enough, America and Britain signed into their laws that the dropping of explosive... I think it was something like dropping of explosive armaments from aerial, vehicles or whatever, I can't remember the exact wording of it, was a war crime. Only Britain and the US. It was meant to be debated at the next, Laws of War conference, basically. Unfortunately, that was somewhat stopped by the start of the First World War.
Whoops.
people weren't so willing to talk about the laws of war while there was a war going on.
Yeah, something about priorities.
But because of that, they still had that all the way up through the First World War and the Second World War. Because those laws didn't actually get discussed again until post-Second World War. So yeah, just the act of dropping the bomb, let alone all the damage it did, was a war crime. That's just me, flaunting my historical knowledge. Yeah.
No. No one is going to argue that America did war crimes except America.
Yeah. Everyone did. Quite frankly, everyone did war crimes.
As was the style at the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's all well and good people saying, oh, we've got all these laws of war. When war actually starts, people rather forget about them quickly. Because I'm fairly sure, like, gas was banned between the first World War and the Second World War, and people did not give a shit in the Second World War.
Mm-hmm.
Might have even been banned before the first one, and people didn't give a shit.
Entirely possible.
Either way, we sort of got off track here.
Yep. Definitely got sidetracked.
In the sense of the bombs being dropped, yes, Japan was a victim. Because it was mostly like innocent people who were harmed.
I mean, that's the thing, when you target civilians, you're doing a bad, frankly. And that's also true of the Western bombing.
Looping back around, though, collective punishment, especially for something that no one involved in the being punished is guilty of, is also a war crime. And guess what Aaron does?
Yeah. At what point do we want to stop talking about the crimes of Attack on Titan in terms of the themes and more get onto the writing sins and character-based sins of Attack on Titan?
I mean, let's start right now.
I mean, Zeke is just a horrible, horrible character.
Oh, yeah, no, you're not going to need to push back from me on that.
Because, like, he appears to flip-flop what side he's actually on so fucking often, and it's portrayed as this big twist when he does it. He turned heel or face more times than the Big Show to make a wrestling reference. Like, he's just not well written. He is endemic. I think his introduction as a proper character is where Attack on Titan started going downhill.
Oh, during the Shina return thing?
Well, Return to Shinganshina, I believe is what it is. I think. He's only there as the Beast Titan, which interesting, I guess.
No, I think he is introduced in the flesh during that arc.
Is he? Oh God.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I do. I remember.
Not that I don't trust you, I'm just gonna fact check that.
Yeah, no, I remember. I was, because if I recall correctly, I caught up with the manga right around the time of the big reveal of Reiner and Bertolt as Titan Shifters, which was quite a bit before that. So,
Alright, fair enough then. Maybe not quite that early, but certainly his introduction to the main plot.
I think it starts going downhill, like, at the basement reveal, personally.
I mean, yes, that's basically where I'm saying as well. I'm just centering it around Zeke because I fucking hate him.
I'm aware.
Can I provide a controversial take?
I mean, this entire stream,
and the story would have been better.
The entire stream has been controversial, frankly, in the views of some people. So go ahead, Fuzzy.
I think it started going downhill at the Annie reveal, honestly.
Ooh, interesting.
Hmm.
I was asking if you thought it was going downhill after Aaron turned out to not be dead.
I mean,
Because some
yes,
people do take that stance.
it would have been a lot more interesting if Eren had died.
Yep.
Frankly, it would have been a lot more interesting if Armin had died. When, you know, he got cooked by, what was it, Berthold.
Yep. I mean, it was either him or Erwin who had to die at that stage.
But, you know, Arwen dying, I feel like, would have motivated Eren's changes a lot more than him surviving.
Yeah, no, Armin probably should have died from that.
You know,
But no, Isayama had to keep him around.
Mm-hmm.
For reasons.
Mm-hmm. You know, it...
On a positive note, Levi apparently has a very nice butt.
Levi does have a nice butt, yeah.
Is it Levi or Levi? Because
It's
there's
Levi.
like...
Just like
It's Levi.
you refuse to say Marcone's name correctly, I refuse to say Levy's correctly now.
Honestly, I don't care either way with regards to good old Levi.
Yeah.
See, I don't call him Levy because it's too close to Revy, and that's from a different series I actually like.
I mean, I've been saying Levy in my head the entire time, so, yeah.
Fair. But yes, but speaking of character writing and writing out characters, there are a lot of characters that either should have been written out or should not have been written out, and were handled less than gracefully. So let's talk about Ymir and how she got written out.
Oh, yeah, you
God.
mean the, yeah.
Like, one of the most absolutely shitty barrier gaze examples that I've seen in fiction. Just god awful.
Yeah, fucking awards had the goal to say that Ymir and Historia were a good couple, when the fact is that they weren't even properly hinted as a couple until Ymir was already fucking dead.
Yeah, no. Again, very shitty way to write out a character.
Dead at that.
Yeah.
Not only did Ymir get off screen, Historia got knocked up off screen,
Yeah.
probably without her consent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
then,
the thing
you know,
with Ymir,
it just isn't a part of the story anymore, basically.
Yeah. I will say, like, why did she have to be written out in the first place? I know technically why, kind of, but, like, it feels like a very dumb excuse to make. Like, also, the character that Isayama chose to replace her with was just, like, extremely underwhelming as a character and did nothing for the story at all. Until, like, his death. And that's it. So, like, I think you can understand why I'm still salty about it.
Yeah. Do we want to get on into... I'm just going to say now this stream is not reaching 2 hours, but we have...
It might.
No, we haven't even hit an hour yet.
We'll see.
I don't know. I don't think I have another hour's worth of bitching in me.
Yeah, we
Don't
really
underestimate
needed to have
yourself,
another
Phil.
guest on.
Maybe.
Yeah. But I also want to talk about how badly the fucking time skip was done, at least in the manga.
Oh god, that was just awful.
Cause that was at the time when I was getting the volumes as they came out, and there was, because it's a monthly manga, there was a fair gap between them, I think.
Well, I think it's like 4 chapters per volume or something like that, so
Yeah.
it comes out every 4 months or so.
Yeah.
Which is pretty standard for manga, if I recall correctly. It's like once every 3 or 4 months.
Depends
depending
on the
at
manga.
least.
I mean, fucking
Yeah.
Kageki Shoujo comes out once every 6 months, basically.
Ouch.
No, not even that. It might be even longer. I can't remember. But It's bad.
Double ouch.
It's bad because it comes out once every 2 months, in terms of actual chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, between the end of Volume 22 and the start of Volume 23, there's a 4-year time skip.
And it's hard to notice that at first.
Yeah, that isn't articulated until the 3rd chapter of 4 in Volume 23.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from Eren and the gang reading the book that Eren's dad left behind and the history of the world to suddenly a bunch of shithead little kids who, quite frankly, you don't care about, and Reiner, who is suffering PTSD.
From the whole being a child soldier thing.
Yeah, for a couple of chapters until you suddenly get a meeting between the head honchos and realize, oh shit, it's been 4 fucking years. And it's not just that. It's not just the fact that that's horribly communicated. It means that we are robbed of the character development that occurs in that period. And when you have a character like Eren, where the character development is so drastic, it's just badly done. And I would argue that it wasn't really... Eren's turn was explained, I guess, but not definitively until the last couple of chapters, basically.
Yeah, no, and that's a long time to leave your audience in the dark as to one of the biggest developments in the series. The motivating factors for why your protagonist goes off the fucking rails.
And meanwhile, Eren's been oscillating between, I want to save the aliens, I want to kill the aliens, I want to kill the Malians, I want to kill everyone. Like, it's... I'm supporting Zeke. I hate Zeke. I want Zeke to die. Oh no, I got my head shot off by one of the child soldiers who everyone hates.
Honestly, I would have laughed my ass off if the manga ended with Eren's head getting shot off. That would have been hilarious as an ending.
I just kind of wish Levi died, because it would have been fucking hilarious seeing people melt down.
People did melt down when they thought he died.
I know, but then Isayama didn't go through with that.
Yeah, because Isayama's a coward.
Though I think Levi might be in a wheelchair.
He is in the wheelchair at the end of the series, yes.
Yeah.
Because those injuries combined with the final battle did, in fact, cripple him. But yeah, like, the worst thing is, like, Isayama has shown that he is capable of writing characters well. He can do it. Reiner is actually written fairly well, for example, in the Marley stuff. And like, why didn't you do more of that, Isayama? Why didn't you do more of that? I just, like... The thing that disappoints me most about the series is the wasted potential of, like, the apocalyptic initial premise.
I mean, yeah, the whole, oh, it's actually the humans all along. Yeah, that just sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's like every zombie apocalypse story ever. And it's like, why? Why are you doing this? You have so much interesting potential here and you're just wasting it. Like, why can't it just be like aliens or something for a change? Or why can't it just be like something that doesn't really have an answer that we can comprehend or something?
Yeah.
It's just, why?
But, it was clear from, pretty early on that, well, he even says in that interview I mentioned, the first idea I had was Titans are actually humans, so...
So the stunning reveal in a lot of stories that the monsters were human all along.
To be fair, that was kind of obvious from like day one.
I don't know if it was obvious, but it was not a hard conclusion to make.
Also, y'all remember how the Titan that ate Aaron's mom was actually like his dad's ex-wife the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just like...
And Aaron actually directed that.
See, it would have been funny if it was just like a random event and it just coincidentally happened. But no, Aaron controlled his dad's ex into eating his mom just to make him go off the rails.
Time and space, incidentally.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even getting into the whole time
let's get into the bullshit that is the paths and all the wibbly wobbly timey wimey bullshit. Time travel is not something you fuck around with unless you know what you're doing.
Isayama did not know what he was doing.
No one knows what they're doing with time travel.
I would argue that some people do, or at least they are capable of bullshitting well enough to make it seem like they do. Isayama was not one of those authors. Like, time travel is a very finicky plot device at the best of times. If you're just bullshitting along with it like Doctor Who and you just make up shit, but you do have some consistency, that's one thing. But if you're going to be doing like hard magic with time travel, you gotta be consistent with what you're working with. And there's a lot of finagly stuff going on with the paths and shit. And I think that, personally, I think the introduction of the path is one of the worst lore-based plot points that Isayama comes up with. After, you know, the whole Eldians inheriting the ability to turn into Titans and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because again, the paths are like vaguely explained bullshit that somehow enables manipulation from the future into the past. And it's like, there were better ways to just explain the shit that you're doing than to come up with some metaphysical bullshit that is incongruous with the rest of the setting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, absolutely. You know. And it seems like more an excuse for, you know, Isayama to go, oh, this is why these things happened. These things that, you know, seem to have no reason why they happened. This is why they happened. And people took that to be, oh, Isayama is a master of foreshadowing. No, he's not. That's not how that works.
So, yeah, foreshadowing doesn't work if it doesn't really work if it's retroactive. So some people can make it seem like it's actually foreshadowing when it's just like, oh, hey, I did this. Let's work off of that.
I mean, let's be honest, Oda is probably very good at that.
Yeah, I know, but, like, Oda is also, like...
Oda is very good at foreshadowing, but, you know, he probably gets more credit than he planned for overall.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of getting more credit than they deserve, though, I mean, I mentioned this in the mid-season stream, but people actually trying to excuse the whole Mikasa kissing Eren's head thing. With yeah, they showed Mikasa with a praying mantis early in the series, and you know, praying mantises have that whole the females kill the males thing when they're mating, and that makes sense, right, guys? That's completely really good foreshadowing, right? No.
That's just some dumb shit. What the hell? Like, what are those people smoking?
Can we also discuss how...
Opium?
Wow. Discuss the fact that Mikasa had the potential to be a really good female character and is reduced to just being obsessed with Eren.
Yep. Could have been this really interesting exploration of, like, grief and loss from, the death of a longtime childhood friend who died stupidly in battle, but nope. It was not that.
It's a bad that I was thinking of both Eren and Armin in that. He had 2 chances and both of them slipped away.
Yep. Yep.
And again, you get to the last 2 chapters of Attack on Titan, and it basically boils down to Armin and Eren talking, and Eren trying to treat Mikasa as his personal property.
Oh yeah, the whole no, she better not move on from me for another 10 years at least.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Which is, if he was trying to portray Eren as a whiny child, Isayama succeeded.
To be fair,
but at what cost?
Yeah, that certainly was, if we go by, Armin's reactions, yes, that was meant to be, a negative thing. But at the end of the day, Armin still forgives Eren. Armin still is like, thank you for letting us be these heroes at the cost of 80% of the fucking world.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, in the end, it doesn't matter. Because war still happens. Society is still destroyed. And yet, Eren's grave remains. Because, yeah, Eren got a grave. A grave that Mikasa visits.
Fun times.
Is that what you'd call it? Fun?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
I know, but I had to because people do.
Fucking A. But yes. Yes.
And look, we discussed this earlier. There absolutely are people who are just engaging with this non-critically. Whether they're right or wrong to do so is a different conversation altogether. They are doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are engaging with it critically and are taking the complete wrong message from it, that's who we really need to run out of society.
Or at least ban them from, trying to critique media.
Because
they're failing.
Again, I think I mentioned this in the mid-season check-in. Zena Robinson, the voice actor, posted about wondering if people actually thought, Eren did nothing wrong. The wrestler, Ricochet, also posted something similar to that effect of, wait, you guys think Eren was in the right? Yeah, no, fuck you.
People who genuinely think Eren did nothing wrong can go fuck off.
Yeah. It's... And, you got responses in both of those tweets going, well, he went about it the wrong way in targeting the Eldians as well, but if he'd just gone after the Marlians, it would have been okay. No, it wouldn't have been okay.
No, it's still genocide.
Yeah. In fact, that's more officially genocide.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that's sort of the issue, is that people still genuinely think Eren is in the right for what he did. And that's because the series doesn't take a strong enough stance against him.
Yeah, because Armin's all far too sympathetic to him.
Yeah.
The man committed mass murder on an unprecedented scale. He's like, we're cool, homie. Thanks for doing all that murder and shit.
Yeah.
Thanks for annihilating most of the world. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else gets a happy fucking ending, too.
Well, until
everyone.
Well, yeah.
All the surviving main cast do.
I'm fairly sure we see that Mikasa died peacefully.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it's hinted at it.
How far in the future does the epilogue go?
Depends. In the manga, it's implied to be several decades later. In the anime, it's like centuries or so.
It's not specified. It's only really snapshots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah, we only touched on some of the characters briefly, but like his story, for example, huge prominent role for a good chunk of the middle part of the manga, then gets almost completely written out of the entire final third.
Does she even appear in like the final chapter?
I think it's brief, but yes. Like, she's supposed to be the leader of the people on Paradise, and she does fuck all for most of the final saga of the series. It's just like, way to make use of this important female character by Check's notes. Getting her pregnant in a very ambiguous manner and just having her sit on the sidelines for the entire final saga to be nothing more than like a MacGuffin, basically. Good job, Isayama. Good job. And that's not getting into the handling of a lot of other characters too, who are just like either wasted or just not utilized in a good way at all, or just like casually tossed aside for shits and giggles. Like I remember people losing their shit when Sasha was suddenly killed.
Yeah.
Just bam, right out of nowhere.
And again,
I can see the point that was being made with her death, but like, damn, that's cold.
But again, the character that killed her, Gabby, is then, portrayed as very sympathetic throughout that. And, there is an element of that. She's, a child soldier. She's been brainwashed, but yeah.
There could have been a better handling of that. I can see what Isayama may have been trying for, but it could have been handled better. And that's really the rub of it. Like, there are elements of the series that are like, I can see where you might have been going with this, or I can see a really good way that this could be executed, but damn, does it just miss.
In the final chapter, Reiner is portrayed as creeping on Historia as well.
Why?
Like, he fucking smells a letter she sent.
Okay, but why?
I don't know.
Isayama, what are you doing?
As we've established, Isayama, not the greatest of people, based on his beliefs alone. Turns out, problematic people are problematic. Who'da thunk it?
Should also point out that in that final chapter, you have, you obviously have, Armin thanking Eren for turning into a mass murderer for their sake. Mikasa obviously, continuing to be obsessed with him for no reason.
Even after she hooks up with someone and has a kid.
I mean, you've got fucking Jean calling him a conscientious damn fool. No, he's not conscientious at all. And Reiner,
if conscientious, he would have committed mass murder.
Yeah, and Reiner saying, "What a man you are." I mean, yes, in one context, but not the context you're implying. Yeah.
Basically, the moral of the story is don't portray fascists and genocidal maniacs as heroes. Just don't. If you even have to think about it, Just don't.
Like, yeah, no. Just don't.
But, Isayama decided he wanted to go for a deep ending where, nobody or, anybody could be right or wrong when, no, if you're invoking fascist imagery and fascist analogs, no, you don't get to do that anymore. You do not get to do that anymore.
Can we just talk about briefly how the ending to Attack on Titan is basically like Zero Requiem, but worse in every way?
Go for it.
No, that is somehow they made one of the most stupid endings in anime history even worse.
I don't mind Zero Requiem as an ending. I think it was executed not as well as it could have been, but it was still a pretty good ending in my opinion. But this is like
I disagree.
someone who watched the ending of Code Geass and was like, I can do that better with more murder, and it's like, I think you missed the point there. And I think you went in the wrong direction from that point that you missed. But yes, it's some real dumb bullshit of like, hey, the protagonist has done something horrible in order to ensure world peace in the future, and it's like, okay, but in the Zero Requiem, it's off-screen war crimes, and the protagonist deliberately sets himself up to be the tyrant who is murdered in order to achieve world peace, and doesn't really, destroy the planet in order to do so. Like, again, someone just like.
And my major problem with the Zero Requiem is basically that there were so many ways of doing that did not require either war crimes or dying.
I don't disagree on that front, but at the same time,
I do think Lelouch is a relatively sympathetic character. You know who I really hate?
Suzaku.
Well, yes, but that's because he is a Karma Houdini who literally gets away with doing whatever the hell he wants for reasons. Ogi.
Oh yeah, no, Ogi sucks. But this is not the roast of Code Geass. This is the roast of Attack on Titan.
They're like very similar series in many ways.
To be fair, Code Geass is a lot campier and sillier than Attack on Titan. Most Attack on Titan silliness is much more unintentional than Code Geass is. Like, you can tell the silliness in Code Geass is very much like, at least somewhat intentional. It's got a flamboyance to it. This one is a bit too played straight.
Norio Wakamoto. Of course it's flamboyant.
Exactly. A lot of the over-the-topness in Attack on Titan is like, I feel like the goofiness of it is not meant to be goofy. Like, the series takes itself too seriously in a lot of regards. But yes, there is just like, as I said, a lot of wasted potential and a lot of poorly, at best poorly utilized imagery in the series that's like, makes you just lament the direction that it went in, and why it was just like, it makes you ask why. Just why?
I mean, yeah, and the fact is that we don't know whether this was conscious decisions on Isayama's part or subconscious.
Yes.
It's hard for us to believe, with, quite frankly, our Western educations. Western educations on history, that anybody could portray these things and not be thinking of Nazi Germany. But we don't know what Isayama's education was like in that sense. You know, we can make guesses and suspect, given what other people have said, but we don't know for sure. We don't know what Isayama's thinking is for sure, other than the stuff that he has said, which is not a great indicator of him being conscientious of what he's writing. I mean, I don't know what else there is to really say now. I have not reread Attack on Titan in a long time, so I can't exactly go into a deep dive on the minutia.
There's a lot of stuff that I've forgotten over the years about why it's about how it's fucked up in various ways. I remember a lot of the bullshit in the final arc, like all the quote unquote heroes doing like superhero poses and all that dumb bullshit. And allying with the genocidal fascists to save the world and all that. That's fun. Wait, it's not. Oh yeah, and Annie just suddenly re-entering the plot to do basically fuck all. Again, it's like waste and waste and waste. But what do you think regarding just everything wrong with this series?
Is that directed at someone in particular, or more of a general to the
general
audience? Right. I mean, yeah. There's still parts of Attack on Titan that I remember somewhat fondly. I do remember genuinely kind of enjoying the political arc.
Yeah.
Which may in hindsight be because it was an overthrow of a fascist regime. The fact that they kind of just installed a new one does sort of take away from that.
Yeah, those kind of power things.
I do think some of the stuff in the series is good. It does have one of the most striking opening chapters or episodes of anything, really. Like, it has a very good hook. I will give it that. But, like, at the end of the day, it's not enough. Not enough to make me ever really enjoy this series again.
Okay, here's another thing. So, especially in that last arc, the main real conflict, I guess, is between Eren's plan and Zeke's plan.
Oh yeah, the whole Zeke's plan, I think, was just straight up to sterilize all the Eldians, wasn't it?
Basically, yeah.
Which, there's absolutely nothing morally objectionable about that at all. No, what are you talking about?
Compared to, Eren's, which was almost basically kill them all like God sorted them out. But, those are two pretty reprehensible plans, and that's nothing really there for us to support as readers. Armin doesn't come up with a plan. Mikasa doesn't come up with a plan. The rest of the scouts don't have a plan of action
there's no,
here, really.
There's no presented alternative to two different forms of genocide / mass murder.
If I remember correctly, the plan of action was allying with the somewhat
Not Japan.
yeah, not Japan, who, as it turns out, Mikasa and Levi are actually part of the royal family there. Which
No, not Levi. Just Mikasa. Her mom specifically.
Levi was from there, though, right?
No.
Was he not?
No,
Levi's
no,
related to Mikasa.
They're related
through
from their
Mikasa's
dad's
dad.
side.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. I didn't remember. I don't remember this shit.
I don't blame you.
Either way, Mikasa related to not Japan. I think the plan was to basically use the potential of the rumbling as a deterrent, similar to how nukes are used as a deterrent to open
Yes,
warfare.
good old mutually assured destruction.
Yeah. I think that was what their plan was, and it was basically sabotaged by Eren, planning to actually use the rumbling. I think that was what the plan was, but, Eren revealing that, he'd sabotaged this plan happens pretty early on, and past that point, there is really no, okay, what do we do then, other than, we should probably kill Eren. We don't really want to kill Eren, because we still like Eren, despite the fact that he's betrayed us. And is, in the process of murdering large swaths of people. But
Oh yeah, because he enables Zeke to, commit a lot of murder.
Mhm.
Also, Zeke's surviving getting blown in half is also bullshit.
Yeah.
As is Reiner surviving getting his head blown off, for that matter. You can tell when Isayama's really leaning into the plot armor for certain characters.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, it's another thing. We could, there is probably almost certainly more we could mention, but again, that would sort of, it would rely on us going into the minutiae of it, that certainly I'm not able to do, because I don't want to go through the series again. To begin with, it was never a series that really lent itself to being reread.
The rewatch value on this is not great, no.
Given that it is such a depressing story overall. But the, complete and utter fucking downward turn that it takes, let's say 2/3 of the way through, really does, really kills any desire for a reread. Because at the end of the day, there are better series that I would rather read. This week I read Dog's Red, the new series from Golden Kamui's author. I want to start rereading Yu Yu Hakusho. I've got a bunch of other stuff on my reread list. In terms of actual books, I want to read Travis Baldry's first novel. I want to read the various fan fictions that I have, and I do and will read Trash and the Count's Family Fuzzy.
I appreciate that.
I will. I promise. It's on my phone now. It's in the Kindle app. I will get to it. I also read the new Cinder Spires book, which was good. If there are definitely some hints of repeated aspects from Codex Alera, but it is what it is.
There are worse things that Jim Butcher could draw from.
Yeah. It depends.
Also, I just looked this up. Apparently Isayama originally planned to just straight up kill off the entire cast in the ending for Attack on Titan.
I almost would have preferred that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been about as nihilistic.
Yeah, no, but it would have been more initially depressing.
Mm.
Either way, both versions of the ending are bad.
Yeah. I mean, I want to basically, as long as you guys don't have anything else you want to say. I mean, we've
Not off the top of my head.
reached an hour and a half, which I think is pretty good. Fuzzy, do you?
We talked
It's
a lot
not a
about the
good
finale.
series.
Yeah, we also talked a lot about the finale, especially during our mid-season check-in last weekend. So
I mean, that will be uploaded to YouTube. It's probably, I think, next Saturday, because I've said fuck Twitch's whole thing of forcing me to upload things a week after we've done them. That was putting too much pressure on me. I'm going 2 weeks again. So, 2 weeks now after we've done a stream, it'll be up. So yeah, if we've not got anything else to say, I'm gonna end with quoting the end of an article I have not read the entirety of. I didn't have time, but I've been skimming through it, and it does seem pretty good. It's by Tim Brinkhoff, revisiting the fascist subtext of Attack on Titan, some notes on a modern reactionary anime. And it ends by saying, Isayama does not appear to align himself with Adolf Hitler as much as with another influential German figure, Arthur Schopenhauer, who wrote the following charming words about a beach in Java covered as far as the eye could see with skeletons. The skeletons of large turtles 5 feet long and 3 feet broad and the same height, which come this way out of the sea in order to lay their eggs, and are then attacked by wild dogs, who with their united strength laid them on their backs, strip off their lower armor, that is, the small shell of the stomach, and so devour them alive, but often then a tiger pounces upon the dogs. Now all this misery repeats itself thousands and thousands of times, year out, year in. For this, then, these turtles are born. For whose guilt must they suffer this torment? The answer is, for none. They must suffer because they were born into this world. And that, I believe, is the message of Attack on Titan.
Charming.
That's fucking cynical as fuck.
That is the overall message of Attack on Titan, frankly.
Sounds about right, yeah.
It is a story of suffering. And with that, I think we are going to wrap up. So, thank you for everyone watching this on Twitch and on YouTube. Or just listening to this. Obviously, there's not really much going on in terms of the screen, so you might just be listening to it in the background.
Which we encourage.
Yeah, no, go for it. If I had more tech skills and more time, I would probably try and figure out how to fucking upload these things as podcasts. But I have neither of those things. In terms of future stuff, tomorrow should be part 2 of many of our One Piece character tier list. Now that's a story that does fighting fascism a lot better. Just as a note, we will obviously go into it again tomorrow when we start the stream, but we have added a new tier of controversial / mid, which will be getting some use.
We're going to be getting a lot of use, I feel.
You're welcome.
Tuesday and Thursday will likely be gaming streams, Persona 5 Royale, Death Stranding, Mafia Definitive Edition. We will see what it turns out to be. And then next Saturday, I don't think we have a stream.
We don't have anything planned. We were gonna do another
episode of the tier list, weren't we? That's right. I remember now. I didn't remember exactly what we had planned, but so yeah. So there probably won't be a Paradox Hour next week. Instead, we'll be doing the One Piece character tier list. So you'll be getting 2 of those in a week. Otherwise, again, thank you for watching or listening. Please do follow us here on Twitch and all that YouTube stuff. I still think I'm too good to say.
Like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you disagree with our takes on Attack on Titan, which is not an uncommon thing, I'm sure.
Hey,
don't worry. Your rage will feed us.
Hey, I'll debate you in the comments if need be. I don't always do the best job at replying to comments because I don't know what to say. But hey, if you want to debate, I'll fucking do it. I'll probably be better at it there because I'll actually have time to think out a response instead of just saying whatever fucking comes into my head. But yeah, otherwise, hopefully we will see you tomorrow to talk about One Piece characters and rank them viciously. Good night.
Bye-bye.